Hello and welcome to the Relationships and Chill podcast. We are continuing our series. This is part 3 of the Fulfilled Marriage series. In this episode, we're going to be talking about what is it going to take? What is it going to take? What is it going to cost you to have the level of the relationship that you desire, that you want to experience in this life? So make sure you stay tuned. Tell all your friends about it. This is an amazing series. It's starting to heat up, y'all. So stay tuned. Peace.
You're listening to Relationships and Chill, the podcast for singles and couples about how to find and cultivate the relationship you've always dreamed of, based on trust and honest communication. Why waste your time going through the typical dating obstacle course, only to end up with drama, jealousy, and heartbreak, when you can find the love of your life and live happily ever after? So sit back, chill, and get ready to make relationships great again.
Greetings, everyone. Greetings. Welcome to another edition of the Relationships and Chill podcast. I am your gracious host, Coach R. Anthony. And welcome to the ultimate podcast for relationships and dating, where our aim is to make relationships great again and again and again and again. So without further ado, we're in the midst of a series called the Fulfilled Marriage series, where we're talking about what does it take to have a fulfilling marriage, to have a marriage that is expanding you, that is causing and creating within you the best version of yourself. And I think that's very important to know and to note that it should bring out the best version of yourself, even though like the scripture says that sadness is good because it basically brings out the best in you. Hard times and struggle brings out the best in you. The furnace is for gold. The heat is to extract things out of you that are not supposed to be there, that purify you, that creates a purification process of the essence of who you are and brings out the best version of who you are. But what is it going to take to experience a fulfilled relationship? And we've talked about a couple of things so far in the first 2 episodes. We talked about the vision is what you need. You need to be able to see what it's going to look like. You want to have an idea what it's going to look like. What do you want it to look like? It's like if I wanted to bake a cake, I'm going to look at recipes and I'm going to look at the finished product. I'm going to see how it's supposed to look in order to know I'm on track. We're vision bound people. We're visionary people. We like to see how things are or how they could be. And of course, we can add our own little kick to it, our own little spice to it, our own little uniqueness to it that kind of creates our little signature thing, and we put our stamp on it. So that's the first part. And the next part, we talked about commitment. You know, what is it? What do you need to commit? What do you need to commit to this overall idea? What are you going to need to do in order to stay in the thick of things when things aren't going the best? And that has to be really dependent upon the two people. If you're the only one committed and that other person is not trying, then you're technically not even in a relationship. But if you can see and know that person is doing their best with what they have, it's kind of your obligation to help them to the best of your ability or get help, which I recommend coaching as a first step. Therapy is also an option, but I know for me, I take more of a spiritual approach to how I handle clients and how I handle and work with people on obtaining the things that they desire to obtain. So we don't only just hit the mental and your mentality, which is very important. We hit that definitely hard. But we also talk about the essence and the spirit behind the things that you desire. Why do you believe and why do you feel the way you feel about whatever the circumstance is? And we try to work out a resolution within the confines of what you believe and what you understand to create a new narrative, a new perspective, a new goal, a new focus in order to strengthen your commitment. So that's what coaching does. That's what I do as far as coaching goes. So if you're interested in that, definitely hit me up on relationshipsandchill.com. Fill out the contact form, hit contact, and then interested in coaching. That's all you need to say. Very simple. But today we're going to be talking about what is it going to take, or what is it going to cost you in order to obtain those things. You know, the scripture says it like this. For which of you intending to build a tower does not sit down and first count the cost, whether he has enough to finish it. At least after he has laid the foundation and is not able to finish, all who see it begin to mock, saying, this man who began to build and was not able to finish. So then he goes on to talk about war. So that's in Luke 14, 28 and 29. Luke 14, 28 and 29. What is it going to cost you to build and to have the thing that you desire? Is it going to cost you another person? You have to get rid of this relationship. 9 times out of 10, it's funny because you don't really see any statistics for how relationships fail, but you see a lot of statistics about divorce rates and you know how high they are, 40 to 50%. And then second marriages are even worse. They're 60 to 70%. And so forth and so on. The more you get married, the more you choose a new partner, the worse off you are. So we have to start breaking it down to what is it going to cost you, and what do you I'll probably have to do another issue about like why you choose, but I do another episode about that. But I have the Husband Material Guide, and I really go into why we choose the way we choose and how to choose someone different. So if you haven't gotten your hands on that, you need to go to relationshipsandchill.com right now and purchase that guide. If you are tired of attracting the wrong type of men, specifically for women, men, I'm working on something for you, pretty much the same idea. If you're tired of attracting the same type of woman that failure after failure, then we need to really sit down and figure out why this keeps on happening. So make sure you go to relationshipsandchill.com, sign up for the newsletter so that when things are released, you'll be able to have access to them. Or if it's already available, go ahead and by all means, go ahead and purchase yourself a copy of the guide. So definitely do that. But today we're going to be talking about what is it going to cost again. Or again, we're talking about what is it going to cost. But first I want to talk about what is your part in the equation? Like, how do you fit in to the narrative of either failed relationships or a relationship where it's failing and you want to get it better? What do you do? How do you contribute? How does the other person contribute? You know, and how do you continuously work on continuously become better? How do you continuously become better and at adding and building the relationship? Because one thing I've noticed is a lot of people that complain and have problems in relationships, they're trying to help or trying to work on the relationship based on what they think should happen, not based on the overall objective of the relationship. They're working on the relationship or what they believe the relationship should be without the commitment and without the vision of the other person. So they cannot contribute to the overall view that you have because they don't have the view that you have. So realistically, you're bandaging up the problem, or you guys are fighting against each other because there is no solution. So it's like trying to solve a problem that does not have a solution because you haven't decided that there should be or there is a solution. And that's where part 1 of this series comes in, is the vision. What does it look like? What is it supposed to be like? What is it supposed to feel like when you get to that point of a healthy, happy, fulfilled relationship? What does that look like to you? Because if you're sick and you've never been healthy, then you'll never know what it feels like to be healthy. And therefore you will stay in your sickness. You will relish in your sickness because you don't know anything else. We are creatures of habit, and we are creatures of what we know. We are comfortable in what we know. If you are used to and you know dysfunction, that's going to be what you seek. That's going to be what you desire. Even though you may think you desire something else, you may want something else. But we don't get what we want. We don't get what we desire. We get what we know. So if you don't know anything else, if you don't believe there's anything else out there, or you don't believe you're capable, or these people are not real, they're faking that they're happy or fulfilled or they're enjoying each other, then you ain't gonna never get that kind of relationship. But that's what this series is designed to do, is to help you understand that you are contributing to your own problems in your relationship because of things like that. If you believe that people are not genuinely happy in relationships, then you'll never be happy in a relationship. If you don't believe that you can have a great relationship, then you'll never have a great relationship. And if your significant other doesn't believe that he could be happy or she can be happy in a relationship, or you can have an amazing relationship where there's no problems, no fighting, no arguing, no none of that stuff, no none of that crap, then you're going to always have those problems. The problems that people try to say that they don't want are the problems that they end up having. Because unless you can say, I don't, because most people say, I don't want, and they focus on what they don't want. And I talk about this in the Husband Material Guide. The focus of don't want causes you to attract what you don't want, because it's what you know. You're talking and you're giving more energy towards the thing that you don't want because you're very knowledgeable of the thing that you don't want. It's not until you start saying, this is what I want, then the energy and the focus of knowing what you want and going towards what you want causes you to investigate what you want. Now you can start moving towards understanding and knowing what you want and knowing that this is what you should have. Then you can start to attract it. But other than that, you will not attract anything else other than what you know. So now you have to unlearn, or you can't really unlearn anything, but you have to now learn something better and more in line with what you want, as opposed to focusing in on narcissistic behavior and being used and being cheated on and whoop-de-woo. You're focusing in on that. So now your internal guidance system is cloaking your vision and causing you to be drawn to people who exhibit those traits, because now it is going to give you some energy to focus it's going to give you the energy that you are exhibiting. It's going to match it. So it's going to match the energy that you're giving off. If you fundamentally believe and you saw growing up in your childhood that relationships don't work and you're supposed to argue and fight because your grandma and your granddad fought, your parents fought, they argued and cussed each other out and then talked for a couple hours and they worked out just fine. Well, shoot, I don't want that. I don't care who they were. I don't care if they were my mom or my dad or my grandparents. I don't want that crap. Y'all keep that. I want a different way. I want a way where we don't have no problems. We're so united as a couple. We're so one as a couple. I don't fight with myself. I don't argue with myself. I don't, you know what I mean? Like, I don't put myself on timeout and not speak to myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, I may have issues that I have to iron out, but I try to figure out the way to solve the problem. I don't spend time worrying about the problem and trying not to fix the problem. I worry about it because I want to fix it. So it's only a matter of time before I focus on trying to fix, how do I solve this problem? How do I fix this problem? Because I know there's a solution. So knowing what is going to cost you and knowing what you're up against kind of helps you to start focusing in on the things that you want to have happen when these things arrive, when they present themselves. And we're going to talk about that, you know, and the most important thing initially is just what's your part in this? What's your beliefs about relationships? What's your beliefs about love? What's your beliefs about dating? What's your beliefs about marriage? Because those things will resurface. And they will come back to bite you in the butt. You will feel the wrath of your own beliefs. You can believe that, and you can't avoid them. They will come back and they will haunt you like the plague. So you have to continuously become better at understanding yourself and understanding your beliefs. Ever so minor they may be as you believe, they still contribute to the overall package. I was talking to my wife last night. And I was telling her about some things that I believe about business, right? So I was telling her, you know, I was always learning from business gurus and stuff like that. Hey, feast or famine, feast or famine. Either you up or you down. You going through it or you're not going through it. But I don't believe that about relationships. I believe that, it's always good. Like, it's always going to be good between my wife and I. And it's always been good between my wife and I. But in business and the other things, if I'm thinking feast or famine, it's literally causing me to have good months and then horrible months, good days and then bad days. So I talked to her, I told her about that, and I was like, I never really looked at it from that perspective, because I've been telling myself feast or famine for years, like you up or down. And I've literally been up and down in business. I've been up one moment, I'm killing it. The next moment, I'm struggling. So it's like I have to reconfigure my brain to start thinking it's all good. Like, it's always good. Like, things are always flowing into my hand. Things are always working out for my best, for my benefit. Things are always happening good for me. Business is always good for me. Even if it's bad, it's still good, because I know this is contributing to the bottom line. This is helping me arrive at the place to where these things that I desire are happening. The vision is coming to fruition. So you have to continuously become better at looking at yourself and looking at the things that you believe, ever so minor. They may seem so insignificant and harmless, but when you start looking at the projection of your life and the things that you're experiencing in your life, and how these words that you're speaking are literally creating the life that you are living right now as we speak, or as you listen, is literally contributing to that. So, when it comes to that, you always got to be examining yourself. And I think when a lot of people don't examine themselves. So they always look at someone else as the problem. Now, the problem with that is you're going to always have options. You're going to always have a way to choose somebody else. You're going to always have other people that present themselves and other options that seem better at the time. And what we do is we rush in haste to try to jump onto something that seems better, but it ends up not being better, because ultimately it stems from us. So I don't care how many options you have, you cannot escape what you believe. You cannot escape your thoughts. You cannot escape your core fundamentary, I guess that's the word. I don't know if that's the word, but your core beliefs about love, relationships, money, marriage, children, those things that you believe are going to create and dictate the experiences that you have. And it will absolutely, it's a tricky thing, because what happens is it confirms our belief, and it becomes even more true. So we even double down, like, dang, I was right. Like, it is feast or famine. So you believe it. You really do believe it. And you really become even more enamored with it. You become even more like, it is feast or famine. It really is. Relationships are hard. Relationships and marriages are hard, and most marriages don't make it, and most businesses fail. And we confirm all the crap that we believe. It's confirmed. So I think when you start scaling back and start focusing in on, what am I saying about this issue? What am I saying about my relationships? What am I saying about other people, men or women that I'm interested in? What am I thinking about them? What am I saying to myself about them? Because it's contributing to the overall patterns and negative experiences that we have in that department. And simply choosing to leave and divorce and all this stuff does not put you in a better position. And like I said before, in pretty much all cases, it actually puts you in a worse position. The second time marriages fail by even higher percentage. Now, you got some people that make it, but that'll be 20 to 30% of people, as opposed to 50 to 60% of people that make it. First time marriages, and so forth and so on. As you move further down the line, of course, you're going to find some people but most of the time, most of the time that people that have been married 3 times, they're going to be on their 4th and 5th and 6th sooner or later. It's just the weirdest thing. We get worse at interpersonal relationships. We don't really get better at them unless we stay in them. You don't get better at being in love unless you stay in love. You don't get better at loving people without loving people. You can't love yourself. This is the funny thing about this self-love thing. Like you can't get better at loving other people by loving yourself. It's impossible. You can't get better at being a basketball player by just watching basketball. You got to actually practice. You got to actually do something outside of yourself, meaning you got to go dribble a ball. You can't just do it all in-house and internally by just watching and just soaking it in. No, you got to actually go out there and exert energy towards a perspective or a vision or an idea. You have to exert energy towards that and do work towards an idea. That's how you become better at something. You don't become better by internalizing and say, I need to love myself. No, you double down. You have to love somebody outside of your own self. And that's the problem. That's selfish love. So people say self-love is not selfish. It is the epitome of selfishness. Because you're dictating to everybody else, this is how you should be loved because I'm loving myself this way. No, it doesn't work like that. And I know there's scriptures, people say, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, meaning that means that if I got to tell you to do unto others as you would have them do unto you, meaning you already know how to do unto yourself. I got to tell you to actually exert energy doing for others that you would have them do for you. So realistically, you're already selfish. I wouldn't have to tell you that if you wasn't in a selfish mode anyway. So telling you to give more is because you're not giving. I would never have to tell you that if you were giving. If you were doing what you were supposed to do, there would be no need for that scripture to be there. So that's, very, very important to do, is just to learn how to figure things out in the confines of what a person understands or what their experiences are. Because you can always say don't judge. People always say don't judge people and whoop-de-whoop. But they be the first ones to judge people when something happens, meaning that they say, like if you're in a relationship, well, I'll say that for another. But I was just gonna say, if you're in a relationship with someone and they're not doing what you believe a person in a relationship should do, and then you say this person is a narcissist or whatever label you want to call them, right? Then you are essentially judging them by saying to them that they are not meeting your expectation or meeting your standard of what you believe love should be, and you don't understand what their expectation or their idea of love is. So you are realistically judging someone based on what you believe to be true without collecting enough information on what they believe. That's selfish in my book. It's really a sad situation that we're in as far as relationships go, because we have these beliefs and there is no credibility to our beliefs other than just what we think should happen. And I think I was probably guilty of that myself. I think I was guilty of thinking that it should be this way, but what I didn't do, I didn't put anybody in danger of that. Now they may have put themselves in danger, and I told them, hey, listen, do not fall in love with me. Don't commit yourself too much to me because I'm not there. I'm not there with you. I want to enjoy our company and enjoy our conversations. But what you want, that commitment that you want, that title that you want, I cannot give you that. I can't. So you're going to have to, control your whatever, or just find somebody who will. Like, I don't have a problem with that. Like, find the person that you believe, will do those things. And, but I'm all about here's the thing, like, I'm all about progression, especially in a relationship, because if you're not progressing in a relationship, then the relationship is dying. If the relationship is staying the same, then it's literally decaying. It's dying. Life gives more life. Energy gives more energy. Like I said, love gives more love. When you give love, you get more love. When you understand, and I think, you know, and I'm not trying to beat you up if you believe in the self-love thing, but it really boils down to understanding. And with this series, I'm giving you an understanding of why you have all the self-love you'll ever need. You just don't have all the understanding that you'll need, because we believe and we think we know what everybody else should know. You know, we're expecting people to know that this is what you're supposed to do in a relationship. This is what a man's supposed to do. This is what a woman's supposed to do. And not realistically, like, digging into, like, okay, you may know this, but do you understand what this means? And are you willing to do these things in our relationship? Because if you're not willing to do it, then either we got to figure out what you're willing to do, or we have to part ways. So you end up committing and getting into a relationship with somebody who had no intentions of fully giving you or expressing to you the kind of love that you think they should or thought they should. They had their own ideas of what and how they were going to express what they believe. Matter of fact, that's self-love. You know, they're not giving you the love that you need. You're giving them the love that they need according to your belief, but it may not necessarily be what they need. It's just what you believe that they need. And they're not giving you what you need, so it's a selfish relationship. Both parties are putting their own idea of what this means or what love means over what the person actually needs. That's a very selfish thing to me. But on the flip side, if you're actually working towards something as a couple and as a unit, you're growing together. You're progressing together. You're giving energy and giving love to each other. It's a process. It's a progress. It's a push and pull. It's a seesaw. It's an up and down. It's a constant ebb and flow of the two parties constantly contributing to the other party's experience in life. Because if not, then it's literally going to self-implode and die. It's gonna die off because it's like a mole or something on your body, like some kind of whatever. I don't know, but like, let's say you got a mole or something on your body and your body continuously feeds it. It's not gonna go anywhere. It's only when your body stops. It's like an arm. As long as blood is flowing to your arm or your legs or, you know, wherever, those things are going to continuously work, you know. But the moment that a blood clot happens and it stops, then things start to wither away and die because there's no life energy going towards that area. So love is like the blood of a relationship. If you're not giving love in the relationship, then the relationship will absolutely die. And you could believe that you're giving all the love you think that you need to be given, but if you're not constantly updating each other on what love means to you, and as you grow and develop, then you will be clouding your relationship, because the idea of love is now redefined by both parties. So it has to be done that way in order for it to continuously grow. So, and that really, you know, that really involves shedding the old you and shedding your idea of how it should be. Because anytime you add another person into the relationship, or add a person into your relationship, or add a person into your life, then you have to change. You have to adjust and make accommodations for that person's ideology, especially if there's a commitment there. You have to allow yourself to take the back seat and not just like stifle yourself and just like condense yourself, but no, like fully understand what this person needs and what they believe in order to truly give yourself, and have them understand who you are in order for them to truly give themselves, and count up the cost of what it's going to take for them to, and for both of y'all to have a functioning, fulfilled relationship. So having that idea of like, I'm not going to be the same person, if I get with this person, that's going to change me. If I get with that person, that's going to change me in a different way. Or if I get with that person, it's going to change me in a whole different way. So that goes back to options. You can choose whoever you want, but you have to know how it's going to affect you overall and where you're trying to go and where the relationship is trying to go and where that other person is trying to go. These are things that need to be taken into account before you actually get into a relationship, you know, and just figuring out how your contribution and your investment in the relationship, as opposed to holding on and, like I said, just dictating what you believe should be done and holding on to the old you and the old ideas that you had, stifles the relationship, as opposed to investing the best of what you have and what you do actually have to a relationship worthy based on your calculations and based on your understanding and your ideas, to where you are in the best position to contribute to the relationship. So if you're not contributing and investing into the relationship and you're holding on to your old ideas, you're holding on to your old ideas, it's going to cloud up the relationship. But if you're constantly investing and becoming better and you're constantly working with each other, then you're investing and you're pumping blood into those areas. And it's not just like, oh, I love you. It's like, I love you and I have to apply love to you in areas of your childhood, in areas of your work life, in areas of your self-improvement life, in areas of your beliefs, in areas of, so all these areas you need to pump your idea or your version of life into those areas in order to get an understanding on how you can contribute and how you can invest in bettering that person's life, and vice versa. They should be doing the same thing. That's why it's important to have your significant other listen to this series with you, so that you both can have an understanding of how to contribute better to your overall relationship, so that you can experience and have an amazing relationship. You know, and though that really requires a very important piece. And that very important piece that you have to encompass is opening up your past. And I ain't talking about the past, you know, the good side of the past. And, I casually had sex with all these people. Or I casually, used to rob banks or do scams or whatever. Like, I kind of did that, but I ain't really do it. And making it seem like it's innocent and insignificant. No, like, I'm the type of person, if I'm investigating or if I'm learning about you, I said investigating, but I'm saying that because, like, I'm an investigator somewhat. Like, I like to learn about stuff. But I'm saying that in the sense, like, if I'm learning about you, I'm going to try to understand all the moving parts. Like, okay, what do you mean you kind of used to scam? Like, talk to me about that. Like, what does that mean? Kind of. Like, how did you, like, what happened? So I'm like one of those people, like, I got to know. I got to know what's going on with you, especially if I'm going to invest my life into you and knowing how that's going to affect me in the long term, because I'm always thinking long term. So I have to think long term in anything that I do, whether be getting into a relationship or, having somebody get into a relationship with me. I'm going to show you how it should be and how I want it to look long term. I'm going to also tell you how I want it to look long term. And I'm going to also listen to you and what you think how you think things should be long term. But that really starts from, because I can tell you all the stuff I want to do and all the things that I want it to look like, but why? And that's where you start getting into the past of a person. You start learning about who they are and how they came to be the person that they are, and how they operated to get them to this point. And that is allowing them in to know you on a deeper level. In the last episodes, we've been talking about getting to know someone and really going into the core of who they are and what they believed and why they don't believe that way anymore, or the changes that they went through and the philosophies that they've had or they have now and where they are. Just those things are important to getting to know someone, because you're getting you're getting caught up to who they are. And so when a person is hiding information about their past or hiding hiding things that they've experienced in their life. They're hiding who they really are. So how can you fall in love and be and commit and know what it's going to cost you if you don't know? You don't know them. So you have to allow people in, and they have to allow you in to the deepest, darkest pits of who they are. I'm talking about the ugly stuff, because what we do is we try to avoid the ugly stuff because we want to remain in the pretty comfortable picture, as opposed to dealing with the uncomfortable, ugly reality. But you can't truly love somebody without truth. So that's the thing. With love, it's constantly learning and constantly expanding and constantly changing and constantly developing. It's constantly moving. It's a very alive aspect of life. And in order to get and gain that understanding of the movement of how love moves, you have to understand where it's moved to first. And that's about going into the past. Now, going forward, once you have established the love, you have to continuously search for the love that you've established and the love that you have for that person. You have to constantly look for the truth of who that person is, so you can continuously feed that love that you have for that person. And as you begin to explore and express those things, the person is going on a journey with you. Just like a good movie. Like a good movie takes you from the beginning, the start, or they go even before the start and bring you up to snuff to where now you're in the thick of the movie and you understand the character, you understand the things that they're working towards, what they're trying to do. And you understand all these different aspects that create the experience of a good movie. Same thing within learning about a person is you have to experience and you have to know and understand their past in order to love them presently and on to the future, and continuously to do that, to continue to love them on into the future. But you also have to love the past too. Like you can love a person's past, because if you love them presently and you know the past, then you're essentially loving their past. But what a lot of people try to do nowadays is they say, well, your past is not important. No, your past is extremely important, because without it, you would not be here. So I need to know how you got here in order to know how to love you further into the future. Because anybody can love you right now when they feel, we're very persuaded by the feeling, and we're very persuaded by the now. And we think that the now is all there will ever be. We don't think that there's going to be tomorrow and things are going to change. We don't think change until it's time to change. But we can calculate change by looking at how things have changed. So we can at least brace ourselves to know that things are going to change. And the only way to do that is to go back into the past. That's why the past of a person is so important. And that's why your past and investigating your past and learning and knowing more about your past is extremely important, because it allows you to predict the things that you're going to experience in your relationships and the things that you're experiencing in your relationship right now. Those are things that have happened that contribute to the things that are happening and will happen. Making peace with your past and understanding your significant other's past creates a whole nother level of love. That's why we can love children, so much, because we understand their origins up until the point where they start walking, and you can see their progression. They start talking, they start understanding, they start knowing, they start talking to us about different complex subjects. And you're like, man, I just love this progress. It's like a movie that you're like enthralled in. It's just because you understand how it started. So that's why the past is very important. And last but not least, loving your significant other, your spouse, my wife in this case, more than you love yourself. This is extremely important for men, and also very extremely important for women. It's equally important for both. But as a man, I'm speaking to men, because what men tend to do is they'll get a woman and they didn't calculate what it was going to take to be a man for that woman. So they began to distance themselves because they were not ready, because they hadn't done the research, they haven't investigated, they got caught up in the emotions of the moment, or they're like, I'm too old to be chasing women, so I need to find me a woman to settle down with and all that kind of stuff. But then until you take the time to investigate yourself and investigate the person that you have decided to commit to, then you are literally setting yourself up for failure, but you're also not giving that person the benefit of experiencing the best of who you are. And vice versa. You know, for women, it's the same thing. If you're not sharing and you're not understanding and you're not honest with yourself, then you cannot give the best portion of who you are to that other person, and therefore they can't love you to the best of their ability, and therefore they can't love you more than they love themselves, because they have to want to see you win and want to see you progress more than they want to see themselves progress. But because they know more about themselves, they know a whole lot more about themselves than they know about you, or there's a connection, or they're more connected to themselves, and there's way less of a connection to you, then they can't love you more. And you can't love them more. But the way this works the best is, if I love you better than I love myself, and you love me better than you love yourself, this is going to work amazingly, because we're going to always be doing something for each other that is to benefit not only ourselves as individuals, but together as a collective. And having that understanding puts you in a position to have a fulfilled marriage, because you now start looking outside of yourself to supply the internal need. This is exactly what we do for food. We don't look to our internal self to fulfill that need of hunger and starvation. We look outside of ourselves for food, something that was not attached to us. But now once we take it and we ingest it, it now is a part of who we are, and it's fulfilling us and bringing us to the point of satisfaction. That's what a great marriage does. And that's what I want you guys to have also. But having that understanding having this understanding in this series is a foundation to progress and to help you move towards having an amazing, fulfilling, happy, blessed, all these different words you want to use, whatever you want to use, loving, caring, everything, relationship. I mean, it means the world to me to have my wife and to have the level of relationship that I have with her. It's the most amazing thing, and I wouldn't trade it for anything in this world. And I want everybody, especially men, to experience this. And I'm not like, I'm really like borderline. People will probably call me like borderline misogynistic, but you can't be if I love her more than I love me. But I understand the power of a man, and I know that my part is important, and probably even a little bit more important than hers, in the sense that if I am off, not only will she be off, but our children's children will be off. Not saying that the woman doesn't, but I'm saying, like, for me, because ultimately the children are going to come through my wife. But the information that I'm giving her, the things that I'm teaching her, the things that she's learning through me is going to be what she teaches and tells them, and what's being ingrained in them from the time of conception. And those are the things that are going to move forward, and those are the things that are going to live on after me and live on through my DNA. So it's extremely important to be in the right position, men, to be able to lead your woman, to give her the best of who you are and the best of what you have to offer. And women, it's also vitally important for you to be able to be in the best position to give the best of who you are to that man, and understand that man to where you are not making a decision based on your feelings at that moment, and put yourself and your children and your grandchildren and so forth and so on in a position to receive encoded DNA or encoded information through the DNA that causes them to be off and misaligned too, and make the same decisions and mistakes that man made with you. So that's going to conclude today's episode. Hope you guys enjoyed. Give me some feedback. Definitely share. Tell everybody that you know about. Tell everybody that you know about this particular series that we're doing. I hope you guys are really enjoying it. It's something unique. It's something different that most people have never heard before as it relates to preparing yourself, and even if you're in a relationship, putting you in a proper position to where you can get your relationship back on track and you can fall back in love. And if you need even more specific help, I'm available for coaching. So don't be ashamed to hit me up, and I'll catch you guys on the next go round. This has been Coach R. Anthony, Relationships and Chill. I'm out of here, y'all. Peace.
Thanks for listening to Relationships and Chill. For more information on cultivating the relationship of your dreams, please follow us on Instagram or Facebook at Relationships and Chill, or subscribe to our YouTube channel at Relationships and Chill TV. You can also visit our website at www.relationshipsandchill.com. Together, let's make relationships great again.